Good afternoon. Our subject for this afternoon is STS. Let's discuss intellectual revolutions and society. In this topic, we will talk about Copernican, Darwinian, and Freudian intellectual revolutions. Okay, let's start. Let's define science. Science is an idea. It includes the ideas, theories, and all systematic explanations and observations about the natural and physical world. Science is an intellectual activity because it is a systematic and practical study of the natural and physical world. This process involves systematic observation and experimentation. Just remember the scientific method. Next, science is a body of knowledge. It's a subject, discipline, or field of study that deals with the process of learning about the natural and physical world. And also, it's a personal and social activity, as it means to survive and improve your life. Let's start with the scientific revolution. It is the period of enlightenment when the developments in the field of science and mathematics transforms the views of society. It's the emergence of modern science. This took place in Europe, which was started by the publication of Nicholas Copernicus' book on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres. And this revolution ended with Isaac Newton. Since the start of the revolution, we also have the paradigms and paradigm shifts. Thomas Kahn suggested that a paradigm includes the practices that define a scientific discipline at a certain point in time. It contains all the distinct, established patterns, theories, common methods, and standards that allow us to recognize an experimental result. So Kahn was interested in how the overarching theories we have of reality itself influence the models and theories we make about reality within that paradigm. Let's take a look at this. This is how Kahn formulated the model for the paradigm shift. Here we have Newton, Einstein, and new theories today with the model of a revolution. There's a paradigm change here, new concepts. We call that paradigm change. So it dictates what is observed and measured, the question we ask about those observations, how the questions are formulated, the results interpreted, and how the research is carried out. So for a scientist, they disregard certain models that were proven to be inaccurate. We call that a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is where the new paradigm didn't build on the foundations of the old, but completely changed the rules for that building. For example, the solar system. In cosmology, we began with the invention of the idea of a scientific revolution from the pre-Socratic philosophers. So they find underlying and unchanging principles responsible for constantly changing phenomena of the everyday natural world. So the Greeks developed a cosmological theory with the Earth at the center of the planets, Sun, and Moon embedded in spheres rotating around the Earth. So that was the first theory about the solar system. The motions in the heavens were understood in terms of Aristotle's theory of motion. Here we have the center, the earth at the center. We have heaven as the home of gods. and the hell where Hades is located. And next we have the Copernican Revolution. It began in the 16th century with Nicholas Copernicus. He is a mathematician, astronomer, and challenged the Ptolemaic model. He introduced the heliocentric model in a 40-page outline entitled Commentariolus. Okay, let's see. This is the Ptolemaic model at the left. Earth is at the center of our solar system, while the Copernican model that is used today, it is the more accurate model of our solar system in which the sun is at the center, at the here at the right side of this slide. So he formalized the model in this publication of his treatise De Revolutionibus Orbium Caelestium. Heliocentrism, which suggests that the center of the solar system was not the Earth but actually the Sun. He contradicted the geocentric model. It is accepted by the people in a period called birth of modern astronomy. That is one example of a paradigm shift that we were talking about. Next, we have the Darwinian Revolution, one of the most controversial intellectual revolution. In 1859, Charles Darwin, a biologist, geologist, and naturalist, published in his book on the origins of species. He introduced the theory of evolution that populations pass through a process of natural selection. In this natural selection, he said that only the fittest would survive. Darwin also stated that organisms have the ability to adapt to their environment and would gradually change into something that would be more competitive to survive. We call that the theory of evolution. In here, in this diagram, it shows the process of natural selection. Starting from the left, we have the population of mice that move into a new area. Due to natural genetic variation, some mice are black, some are tan. As time goes by, tan mice are more visible to predatory birds than the black mice. Thus, tan mice are eaten at higher frequency than black mice. Living at this right picture, black mice had higher chance of leaving offspring than tan mice, so that the next generation contains higher fraction of black mice than the previous generation. That is an example of the natural selection. Here we have also genetic variation within the population, which can be inherited. While competition is the overproduction of offspring that leads to the competition of survival. While adaptations have shown that beneficial adaptations are more likely to survive to pass on their genes. And the selection over many generations, there is a change in allele frequency or the evolution. Like for this example, we have each species that shows variation. The competition between the giraffe with the longer neck and the shorter neck have shown that animals with the higher adaptability on their environment will survive. So these survivors will pass on their better genes to their offspring, who will also show this beneficial variation. But this is very much controversial and contradictory to the church teachings. So it divided their belief. It divided the people into their belief that the teachings of the church is against the theory of evolution. But later on this fact, both can coexist. So it only depends on what you believe. Next, let's talk about Freudian revolution. In the past, the field of psychology was always under philosophy. It was considered of an art rather than science. But in 19th century, Sigmund Freud was able to change people's perception of psychology with his revolutionary theory of psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis is the study of human behavior. It's a scientific method of understanding inner unconscious conflicts embedded with one's personality, ranging from free associations, dreams, and fantasies of the individual. He also argued that personality is a product of three conflicting elements: id, ego, and superego. But many believe that Freud's theory had no scientific basis as no empirical or experimental data could support it. But still, Freud continued his work. Soon enough, people were able to understand the concepts of psychoanalysis, which eventually resulted in classifying psychology as science. Here we have the distinction between the three conflicting elements: the id, ego, and superego. When you feel acting on your based on your instincts, you are listening to your id. And when you are thinking of a more r- realistic scenarios that you are thinking, or you're going to act based on a reality, that's your ego. And the super ego holds your morality. So it's your super ego holds your morality and keeping you in a good path. And picture it like this: your inner child is like your id because you are acting based on your instincts without thinking much. While your superego is like your parent, disapproving all your actions like that. And as your ego, you're a mature, you're an adult, you already know what's right from wrong. But again, you don't know what are you going to do like that. And next, we have the Mesoamerican period. In this revolution, it contributed discoveries for archaeology, like the and pyramids. In architecture, the Maya civilization that lasted for 2,000 years. These people are known for their works in astronomy. They developed a technology for growing different crops and building elaborate cities using ordinary machineries and tools. And also the Mayan calendar here, this picture, the red one. And the distinction between characters, we have the warrior, man, woman, priest, and their king, the Maya civilization. They built a hydraulic system, sophisticated waterways, they built looms for weaving, and also they use mica for glittery paints. They are also believed to be the first people to produce rubber products 3,000 years before Goodyear received its patent in 1844. And also we have the Inca civilization. The Incas made advanced scientific ideas considering their limitations as an old civilization. The following were the scientific ideas and tools that they developed to help them in everyday life. Road paved with stones, stone buildings, irrigation systems, calendar with 12 months, the first suspension bridge, the kipo as a system of knotted ropes to keep records that only experts can interpret. Inca textile, since cloth was one of the specially prized artistic achievements. After that, Inca civilization, we have the Aztec civilization. So their contribution to science and technology made its way to mandatory education. Aztecs put value on education. That is why where their children are mandated to get education regardless of their social class, gender, or age. And also, Aztecs invented the chocolates. So they developed chocolate during their time. In Mayan culture, they used it as currency. Chocolate. You pay products with chocolate. So it is made from cacao beans. And these are the other inventions by the Mayan civilizations. They prevent muscle spasms, which could help during surgery. The Jinampa, form of Aztec technology for agricultural farming, in which the land was divided into rectangular areas and surrounded by canals. Also, the Aztec calendar, the invention of canoe for traveling in water systems. Now, let's go to the Asian. Digital revolution itself taught Asian countries about freedom and independent nationhood along the improvement brought by the international. India is a huge peninsula surrounded by vast bodies of water and fortified by huge mountains in its northern borders. The Indians are known for iron and in metallurgical works. Their iron steel is considered to be the best in which they received a high regard in the Roman Empire. They are also famous in medicine. They have the Ayurveda, a system of traditional medicine that originated in ancient India before the 2500 BC and is still practiced as a form of alternative medicine. They discovered some medicinal properties of plants that led them to develop medicines to cure various illnesses. They also have ancient texts, and they are also notable in the field of astronomy. They developed theories on the configuration of the universe, the spherical self-supporting Earth, and the year of 360 days with 12 equal parts of 30 days each. They have Aryabhata. He is an Indian astronomer and mathematician. In his Aryabhata, he introduced the number of trigonometric functions, tables, and techniques, as well as algebra. Let's move on to China, one of the ancient civilizations with substantial contributions in areas of medicine, astronomy, science, mathematics, arts, philosophy, and music. They are known for traditional medicines. They discovered medical properties and used different plants to cure human illnesses. And also, they have a traditional medical way of treating people. They call that acupuncture. So putting needles to your nodes. Here in the Middle East, it it's a product of a development and growth of individual nationalism, imperialism, for the efforts of westernized and modernized Middle Eastern societies. A Muslim scientist named Ibn al-Hakam is regarded as the father of optics for his empirical proof of intromission theory of light. In mathematics, they also have Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, give his name to the concept of algorithm, while the term algebra is derived from algebra, the beginning of the title of his publications. In African Revolution, the fight against colonialism and imperialism in Africa is harsh. Egypt was known to be at the center of alchemy, which is known as the medieval forerunner of chemistry. Astronomy was also famous in African region. For instance, it shows that Africans used three types of calendar: lunar, solar, stellar, or a combination of three calendars. And lastly, we have the age of information, or what we call the computer age. So it has brought so much change on how we are living today. We have the smartphones, the laptop, social media applications, and all. So it made our life convenient. And thank you for listening. That's all for this session. Hope to see you next meeting.